What's good, high noon? Welcome to another video. This is about how to utilize your North Star, the North Star concept, to really, truly quit porn at the very subconscious level. Okay, so before you freak out about subconscious stuff, when we talk about subconscious, it can very quickly become super esoteric and vague and ambiguous and amorphous and all that good stuff. But I'm going to make this as practical as possible for y'all. So the idea of the North Star, if you've been following our stuff for a while, is that the way that we describe and teach it is it's envisioning a future that you are so emotionally excited and attached to that it actually becomes part of your present current identity. As in, it becomes so clear, so crystal clear to you that you're in some ways living into that future, into that reality based on its emotional pull, all right? And we have tons of videos and an entire course actually on the North Star concept, so I'm not going to go too much into that. But I was having this conversation with a brother about subconscious, right? And how powerful the subconscious is in terms of keeping you hooked to porn and masturbation and past behaviors. Because if you think about it through a certain lens, it's your subconscious belief that porn is necessary for your life. Because if you think about it logically, like the current you watching this video, you know that you don't want to scroll Instagram or YouTube or TikTok endlessly, mindlessly. You don't want to watch porn and masturbate, right? But in those moments where you do engage in those things, there's something else that's taking over. There's something else that's deeper. It's not your consciousness that's doing this. It's a very subconscious thing. So in many ways, it's the subconscious that believes, oh, I need this behavior because it will help me with mood regulation, with dealing with stress, because I feel lonely or bored, whatever the thing is. And so if that's the case, then it makes sense that we can train or retrain our subconscious to believe that it's not necessary, all right? Okay, so that's the premise and foundation for this video that I'm making. So how then is how this conversation was going with this guy. He's like, how do we train? He was like, tell me how I can train my subconscious. And I went back to the basics. I was like, do you have a North Star? First of all, do you have a North Star? And I know when we talk about North Star, it's for some people, it's like, oh, I don't like making goals, and therefore I haven't even started on my North Star. And for some people, it's like, yes, I have a North Star, but it's very like practical, and it's very like, I'm going to do this, and make this amount of money and have this job and this kind of stuff. And then when you get down to it, it's not really like a full-on emotional connection that people have with this vision that you have, right? And it's not about living in the future, by the way. There's a quick pin in this, quick note on this. There's a difference between living in the future and planning for the future. If I'm going with my wife on a date and I say, hey, I'm going to make a reservation at this restaurant, and I call them and say, hey, do you have space? Okay, let me make a reservation under my name. Cool. That's planning for the future. Living for the future, on the other hand, is me stressing out about, oh, if they have space, what if my wife brings up this topic, and what if it's super expensive, and making all these, emotional attachments to this future outcome. And what's happening is I'm sacrificing the present moment. I'm not living in the moment. I'm not able to be with my wife. I'm not able to experience the drive and just being with my wife on the way to the restaurant. And I'm not able to be there with her at the restaurant because I'm thinking about all this stuff. There's a difference, all right? Living in the future and planning for the future. I think you understand that concept. And so when we talk about North Star, we're not talking about living in some future. We're talking about experiencing in the current moment, right now, what it will feel like to have this experience that you're creating. And it's also finding space to be grateful for what we have right now, and also making space for a new reality, or creating a reality moving forward. All right, so back to this conversation with this gentleman. He was like, how do I actually do that? What are the practices? I was like, okay, well, the how to. There's lots of different ways to do this. What I do personally, and what I recommended to this gentleman, was try this for 1 week. This was regarding porn and masturbation, because he was identifying that he had a porn habit that was part of his subconscious need, quote unquote, moving forward. And that's what keeps him engaged in porn. And so I said to him, try this for 1 week, every day for 15 minutes. Sit in silence, all right? You can call it meditation, you can call it prayer, you can call it introspection, whatever you want to call it, it doesn't matter. It's just sitting in silence. And I said, sit in silence and envision what your life will be like. Not would look like, will be like when porn and masturbation are not an obstacle for you in your life. When you don't associate with those, you don't even desire them. And I said, sit in silence for 15 minutes a day, envisioning that. And importantly, notice the emotions that you feel in that reality. And make those emotions so real for you right now while you're sitting in silence, to the point where your mind and body become united. Your subconscious and your conscious become united. Your body feels the emotion of feeling clarity, lack of shame, feeling open, feeling honest. And as a result, when you stand up from those sessions, 15 minutes of just doing that, you will have created a new reality for yourself, because you will live more according to that reality moving forward, instead of the old reality, which was, I am a porn addict and I'm a perverted sexual freak of nature and I need porn and masturbation just to soothe my emotions and live my life. And so what happens is that you create a new reality for yourself. And so I told him, do this for 15 minutes a day for a week. I recommend doing it as soon as you wake up or right before you go to bed. And just do that. And this is the practice that I have with every area of my life. The things that I like, want to accomplish or see happen in my life is just sit in silence. Let's talk about, great leaders in history, for example, True Father. Let's talk about True Father. When True Father was in Hungnam, Father is eating half a bowl of rice, giving away half of his, not even a bowl, it's like a hand, like a baby's fist of rice, giving half of it away. What was his mentality? It was not like, oh, I need more food. It was like, I have enough. I don't need this. I can survive on half rice. That's a different reality he was living. And he was not like, oh, I'm going to die. God, please save me. He was like, I'm not going to die. I'm not going to die. And so he lived that reality because he was emotionally really in tune with the belief that I'm going to survive and I'm going to create this massive movement. I'm going to create it. It's going to happen. Not I'm going to create. He's like, this is going to happen. And he connected so closely with that reality that it became reality. It became his reality. That's how we live. Because physiologically speaking, it doesn't make sense. What he experienced in prisons, what he experienced in giving rice, food away to people. But he was like, I can survive on half. Like, I got plenty right now. Right? And that's the reality he lived. And that's just one example of one person. And you can create that reality in your life too. Like, why not? It's what I have done personally with many aspects of my life, including my blessing, my marriage, which is, I can honestly say, is just phenomenal. Like, you can talk to me later if you want to call me, or if you want to talk to my wife. It's like, blessing's amazing. Like, I never could have imagined where we are right now. I knew it was going to happen though. I knew it was going to happen through all the trials and tribulations and ups and downs of our blessing. I knew it was going to happen eventually. I just was like, it's going to happen. Like, we're just going to be able to be that radiant, blessed couple that we want to be. And the children, like, I just knew we were going to have kids and they were going to be happy and they're going to feel God. And that's all I ever wanted. And we're creating that reality as we go. And there's like endless examples of things that I've always wanted, like deeply in my heart. And I just kind of believed that I would. And for some reason, it's become the reality just because that's, well, a few reasons, but one is because it's been so clear to me that it's going to happen. Like, and also just trusting and faith that it's not going to happen exactly how I think, but really how God might think is the best way to do it. I don't know. Like, I honestly am at a place in my life right now where I question. I don't think I know anything. Actually, the older I get, the more I realize I don't know about anything, and that's okay, and that's exciting, and that's like, for me, that's surrendering and just letting go to what God might have in store. So, anyways, the message I want to give to you guys is, you can do it. You can do it. You absolutely can. You are loved, and I hope this is helpful for you guys. Practice the thing I talked about. Just try it for 15 minutes a day. I was, for many years, the anti anything related to meditation or whatever. Like, because for so long. I hated the word. I hated everybody that associated with it. I had many negative experiences meditating. And so I don't call it what you want. It doesn't have to look a certain way. But what I recommend is just sitting in silence and just trying to connect with yourself, like with your subconscious, with your true self, your true nature, and God. Like ultimately, it's about being present with God and experiencing God's love. And we seldom do that. We seldom just sit for 15 minutes and just like, God, what do you want to say to me? Just what do you want to say? And if you feel like you're not in a space where you can do that right now because you've got all these emotions, just let out the emotions first. Talk to God and be like, I'm angry. Just let it all out like you would to a parent. Just be like, I'm so angry and all these reasons. Like just let it all out. And then stop and listen. All right? Let it all out. Be angry. Then stop and listen. And see what comes up from that. And that's all it takes. That's all it takes. All right. Lots of love. Catch you in the next video. You're loved. Bye.